I was 38 when I realized something was wrong. Not wrong with him. Wrong with me. I didn't want him anymore. Not in that way. Not like I used to. We'd been married for 12 years. 2 kids. A house in the suburbs. From the outside, everything looked perfect. But every night, when he'd reach for my hand across the couch, when he'd lean in to kiss me goodnight, when I'd see that look in his eyes, I felt nothing. Worse than nothing. I felt trapped. And the worst part? I had absolutely no idea why. There was no affair, no betrayal. No single moment where everything changed. It just disappeared. Like someone had flipped a switch inside me. And I didn't know where to find it to turn it back on. So I started pretending. Because what else do you do when you love someone but your body has stopped cooperating? Looking back now, I can see it didn't happen overnight. It started maybe 2 years earlier. Small things I explained away. I'd be exhausted at bedtime. The kids were still young, 4 and 7. Of course I was tired. Then I started going to bed earlier. 10 o'clock instead of 11. Then 9:30. Long day, I'd say. Which was true. But it wasn't the whole truth. I'd schedule things. Parent-teacher conferences on date nights. Early morning meetings that meant I needed to sleep by 9. Headaches that came at convenient times. I became a master of avoidance. And he tried. God, he tried. He'd plan surprises, light candles, suggest weekend getaways. And each time, I'd feel this weight. This pressure building in my chest. Not excitement. Not anticipation. Dread. I hated myself for it. Because he was the same man I'd fallen in love with. The same man who made me laugh. Who was an incredible father. Who still looked at me like I was the most beautiful woman in the world. But when he'd reach for me, all I felt was this desperate need to be left alone. The guilt was crushing. I'd lie there afterward, staring at the ceiling, wondering what was wrong with me. Was I just broken somehow? Had I fallen out of love without realizing it? Was this just what happened after 12 years of marriage? After kids? After life? I couldn't talk to my friends about it. They'd post about date nights, weekend getaways, how lucky they were, and I'd smile and like their photos. While inside I was screaming, does anyone else feel this way? But I never asked, because admitting it felt like admitting failure. Like I was failing as a wife, as a woman, as a partner. So I kept pretending. For months. Until one night, he asked if everything was okay. And I said yes. And he looked at me with this sadness in his eyes. And I realized he knew he'd always known. That night, after he fell asleep, I did what every American woman does at 2 a.m. when she can't sleep. I Googled it. Lost desire for husband. No libido at 38. Why don't I want my partner anymore? And what I found, it changed everything. Turns out, I wasn't alone. Not even close. Studies show that nearly 40% of American women experience low desire at some point in their relationships. 40%. Almost half. But nobody talks about it. We talk about everything else. Parenting styles. Career struggles. Mental health. But this stays hidden. Behind closed doors. In the silence between partners. What I didn't know then, what nobody had told me, was that my body had been changing. After having kids, progesterone levels drop. Testosterone, yes, women have it too, it decreases. The way desire works in women? It literally rewires after pregnancy. For some women, it shifts from spontaneous desire, that sudden I want you feeling, to what's called responsive desire. Meaning the desire doesn't come first, it comes after. After touch, after connection, after feeling safe and relaxed. But how are you supposed to know that? When did anyone ever explain that to us? In health class? Hardly. At the doctor? Only if you bring it up first. And who wants to be the one to say, I don't want my husband anymore? I learned about cortisol, the stress hormone. How carrying the mental load of a household, the endless lists, the scheduling, the remembering, the planning floods your system with it. And cortisol? It's desire's worst enemy. I learned about touched out. That feeling when you've had small children hanging on you all day, needing you, touching you constantly, and by the time your partner wants affection, you just can't. Your skin literally can't handle one more person needing something from your body. I learned that desire isn't just physical. It's emotional, psychological, hormonal, circumstantial. It's affected by sleep, by stress, by how valued you feel, by how much unpaid labor you're carrying, by whether you feel seen, heard, appreciated. And here's what hit me hardest. None of this was my fault. I wasn't broken. I wasn't failing. I was experiencing something that millions of American women experience. But because we don't talk about it, we all think we're the only ones. We all carry this shame, this guilt, this fear that something is fundamentally wrong with us. When the truth is, this is just what happens sometimes. Not because love is gone, but because our bodies, our minds, our lives, they're more complicated than anyone prepares us for. It took me 3 more months to say anything. 3 months of reading articles, forums, studies. 3 months of building the courage to have the conversation I was terrified to start. Because even knowing the science, even understanding the why, I was still scared. Scared he'd think I didn't love him. Scared he'd be hurt, angry, feel rejected. Scared he'd leave. It was a Sunday night. Kids were asleep. He was scrolling on his phone. I was pretending to read. And I just said it. We need to talk. He put his phone down immediately, and I saw fear flash across his face. Because nothing good ever follows those words. I need to tell you something, I started. And I don't know how to say it without it sounding terrible. I could see him bracing himself. I haven't wanted us for a while now, and I don't know why, or I didn't know why. But I've been researching and... I know, he said quietly. Those 2 words hung in the air between us. You know? I've known for months, he said. I just didn't know how to bring it up without making you feel worse. And just like that, the wall I'd been building crumbled. I cried, he cried, and we finally talked. I showed him the articles, the studies, the forums where hundreds of women described exactly what I was feeling. We talked about the mental load, about me being touched out, about stress and hormones and how my body had changed after the kids. He admitted he'd felt rejected, unwanted, like he'd done something wrong but didn't know what. And I admitted I'd felt broken, guilty, like I was failing him. Failing us. That conversation didn't fix everything, but it was the beginning. We started seeing a therapist who specialized in intimacy issues. She helped us understand that desire isn't just about wanting someone. It's about feeling safe enough, relaxed enough, present enough to be vulnerable. We made changes. Small ones. He started doing more bedtime routines with the kids. Not because I asked, but because he wanted to give me space to decompress. We stopped treating intimacy like it had to look one specific way. We talked more. We went on walks where we weren't parents or spouses with to-do lists. Just us. I started being honest when I was touched out. And he started being honest when he felt disconnected. It wasn't linear. Some weeks were better. Some were hard. But we were finally on the same team again. Not fighting against this invisible problem, but working together to understand it. It's been 1.5 years since that conversation. And I wish I could tell you that desire came flooding back. That everything went back to how it was when we first met. But that's not how it works. What I can tell you is this. It's different now. Not worse. Not better. Just different. I've learned that desire for me isn't spontaneous anymore. It's responsive. It comes from connection. From feeling heard. From moments of actual rest. From him understanding that when I'm touched out, it's not about him. And from me understanding that his need for physical intimacy isn't just about sex. It's about feeling wanted, chosen, connected. Some days are still hard. Some nights I'm still exhausted. But I'm not pretending anymore. And that changes everything. If you're feeling what I felt, if you're lying there wondering what's wrong with you, if you love your partner but your body seems to have other plans, let me tell you what I wish someone had told me. You're not broken, you're not failing. You're not alone. Nearly half of all American women experience this. Half. But we're all sitting in our separate houses, thinking we're the only ones. There are reasons this happens. Real, legitimate, scientific reasons. And there are ways forward, not magic fixes. Not overnight solutions, but ways to understand yourself, your body, your needs. and ways to talk to your partner about it that don't destroy everything. It starts with one brave conversation. And it continues with patience, with both of you. You deserve that understanding. You deserve that compassion. From your partner. And from yourself. Before I go, I need to be transparent with you. This story? It was created with AI. The narrator, the specific details, the timeline, they're fictional. But here's what's real. The emotions, the struggles, the questions. Studies show that nearly 40% of American women experience low desire at some point in their relationships. This story represents what millions go through. Women who felt exactly what you just heard. Women who thought they were alone. If this resonated with you, that's because the feelings are real. Even if this particular story isn't. Subscribe to Intimacy Vault for more stories that reflect what so many women experience but rarely have the words to express. You're not alone.